Hey YouTube, Jon Zuzga with ZUMA Concepts. Bringing you another deer blind. This time it's a super low profile blind, and I'll tell you why I came up with this design. I was hunting youth hunt. My daughter shot a really nice buck, and this field we were hunting over was about a 300-yard shot from where they're coming out from the blind. So teaching my daughter to shoot that with the rifle was no problem. Teaching my son to shoot that with the rifle, no problem. But he missed his opportunity during youth hunt, so I needed to get him closer for opener of archery. And the complication we had is I didn't want to go into the woods and taint the woods with our smell and set up a whole new stand days before we were going to use it. And our only other option is laying out in the middle of a turnip field. So or a radish field, I'm sorry. But I got looking at it and got thinking of some other scenarios where I've had an opportunity to sit in an open field and have a deer run up on me, and I thought of sitting in an eliminator blinds for duck and geese. And taking from what I learned from that and going to this, you'll see some of the similarities. For starters, I found the lowest profile chair I could, and then I have a modification that makes these things usable for this design I have set up, as well as if you wanted to use it for waterfowl hunting or anything like that. And I'll explain that to you as I show it to you. And then once I'm done with these chairs, I'm going to jump outside. We're going to set up the blind and I'll explain it all to you. Hopefully you like what you see and you get some use out of this. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to be doing some more deer hunting stuff and deer blind stuff. I generally hunt out of a 50-foot, 60-foot tree stand, and I know it sounds crazy, but I'm going to do a video on how I accomplish that. The one that you're going to see me set up is roughly 45 feet in the air, but I've found the more out of the box you think with deer hunting, and the more differences you put out there that deer aren't used to, the more advantages you have over deer. Something like this low profile setup completely throws them off balance. They're not used to it. They may look at it and kind of walk around it, but they're not terrified of it. And the same thing with these high tree stands. I mean, you get up in them and they can't hear you or smell you. And even when they do look up, they're not used to predators being that high to them. So again, hopefully you like what you see. Don't forget to subscribe. I want you to catch all my videos. Thanks for watching. And now I'm going to jump into this setup. Okay. So you'll notice, like I was saying, these things are completely adjustable for the pitch of your backrest, and they lock into place real nice. And once I break this thing down, you'll see how I was going to explain that this will work for a waterfowl. This is the back legs. I already pre-loosened all these nuts and bolts, so I could demonstrate this relatively quick. You can keep these bolts if you're going to put this chair back to its normal intended use, or you can pitch them if you're going to leave it this way. These just slide right out. And there's normally black caps in here. You just pop them off with a screwdriver or pull them out with a pair of pliers. And you take these. This is your adjustable leg. Don't pull this all the way out, because that spring and stuff can come out of there if you do. You extend them out a little bit so they don't hit this part of the chair. And once you get them in place, make sure that your adjustment's all the way in. Now, locking this into place like this, I was able to set this up so my son or myself can just use your knees as a rest for your crossbow. But you can also see by sitting at this pitch, hunting an open field in the middle of the winter, you could easily cover up with like a down comforter or something and just lay in a field like this and get some late season birds. You could use this to hunt turkeys in medium to high grass. There's all types of different things that this chair could be used for. Once I took it apart and found this, I really was pleased with it and found a lot of different applications for it. You can see with these side by side the difference. Now we're going to jump out side, and I'm going to start setting this up. And what I want to show you is this steel ring here. This is the base for this setup, and this is the track that the wheels roll on. This is the platform that the chairs sit on, and on the bottom of this, you'll see, is this series of rollers. And I basically just designed a massive Lazy Susan. And on these rollers, I put that UHMW tape so that they weren't rubbing metal to metal. That kept it quiet. But this allowed me to rotate the position of my son's shot without having to move his chair and make noise. The whole entire blind underneath this setup would actually rotate. And I'm going to demonstrate that here for you here in a second. This is how the chair's positioned on there. You see that nice low profile, how that works. And here's the blind I created. This is just a umbrella for a patio table. I spray painted the inside of it black. The outside of it is white. If you've noticed, I use a lot of white in a lot of my camos. It's a color that has really done well for me when I'm hiding things, and it just seems like a color that the deer aren't that afraid of. I use a tank camo over top of the white, and then I used artificial leaves that replicate the material I was hunting in. So I linked this type of leaf and this tank camo, but wherever you're going to use something like this, set it up to match whatever your backdrop is, whatever you're hunting in. If it's grass, get grass to cover this. If it's big leaves, get big leaves. If it's small leaves, get small leaves. And when you get on Amazon, you'll see there's all different kinds of options for this artificial camo. This umbrella also tips back. I cut the umbrella to modify it, and you'll see here in a second, I'm able to move the blind back and forth and move my son at the same time with my feet over the edge, which is a really cool feature. Thought you guys might like to see. But the whole idea is you set this up just above the top of whatever you're hunting. So in this case, we were hunting radishes that had about a 20-inch stand. So the radishes or whatever you're sitting in is actually your blind, and then the top is just to prevent the deer from walking by at a close range and seeing the top of your head. It worked really well. It's a really neat design. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys. As you can see where the camo's hanging over, you can get real creative with the way you drape this camo. If you don't have a tall barrier to hide your front, you can definitely hang that camo to the ground and just make little window openings for you and still accomplish this super low profile setup. I'm also going to go through the breakdown of this, and it's really simple to set up and move around and haul around. The base platform is reinforced with aluminum angle to keep the wood from warping and to give it some rigidity. And that about wraps it up. So there's some ideas for you guys to stew on. Hopefully this will help you out in the field. Like I was saying earlier, everything in here is going to be on the description below linked. Don't forget to subscribe and have a safe season. Thanks for watching.